Hello and what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. I'm Hachiko from the Art of Dota, and this is going to be my first impression videos on the new items that were introduced in the Dueling Fates update 7.07. So again, this is my first impressions and a little bit of analysis and show off of the new items. It's not going to be anything in depth. Again, this is the test client. Some things are subject to change, but if you guys really want to test out these items, you can check out yourself by downloading the test client. But this video is mostly for people who don't have the time to, or just want to see what the new items do and have someone share their opinion on how they feel about the new items, because I do have a lot of opinions on the new items. I think a lot of them are good, some of them are too good, and let's just get right into it with the first item here, which is going to be Spirit Vessel. So I'm playing Io, and I think this item is core on Io. Again, Urn is an item that he usually always builds anyway, and if you look at the build up here, it uses it uses an urn, a vitality booster, a windlace, and a recipe. The recipe is only 600 gold, so not that expensive. It is perfectly legitimate that you're an IO and you're gonna have an urn, you're gonna have windlace, and then sometimes you buy a casual vitality booster as well. So for 600 extra gold, you get this buffed up urn. So what does it do here? I wish I could make this a little bit bigger so it's easier for you guys to read, but whatever. So it gives you 250 health, 30 move speed, 1 mana regen. Keep in mind, all mana regen items are just flat numbers now, and then you get a bonus based on your int. That doesn't matter if you're an int hero or anything. All heroes get that, of course. Then it also gives 2 of all attributes and 2 armor, which is really nice. I think the urn change, where it requires the Ring of Protection, was a pretty good small buff to Io, because he's a pretty low armor here, as you see here. He only has 1 starting base armor. It's actually 0, I believe. I got 1 leveling up in some stats, but it should be 0. But this new item, everything that it gives pretty much benefits Io, benefits a lot of other heroes as well. Of course, you can even use it offensively, which is great. But the thing is, one thing to note is I did play this patch a little bit already in some custom game lobbies, and even I queued for like 1 game. So I know that one thing about this item is it actually doesn't share charges from Urn when you build it up. I'm not sure if that's going to change with the actual patch coming out, but let's say you had an Urn with 10 charges and you upgrade it to Spirit Vessel, it will start with 0 charges. So the Urn charges do not carry over. And again, I'm not trying to go too in depth with each of these items. I'll probably make a guide or some type of video for each individual item once the patch comes out, and I've played it a bit and researched some stuff about items and strategies and things you can do, what heroes to build them on. For now, I'm just gonna try to just share what I think about the items as I'm testing them out right now, because a lot of these items I haven't had a chance to use yet. So I'll show you the effect of it right here. Actually, I'm gonna continue reading, right? So the active of it, it's basically Urn, right? But it's super Urn. Spirit Vessel is just a super Urn. You can just think of it like that. It was forged by a god to entrap the soul of another. Super Urn. What is regular Urn description? It contains the ashes of powerful demons. You go from the ashes of powerful demons to entrapping people's souls. It's a little bit stronger. Not too much stronger, but a little bit stronger here. So the active is Soul Release. When used against enemies, it reduces health by 3% of current health per second, and reduces HP regeneration and healing by 70%. It deals 20 damage per second as well. So it does a flat 20 damage per second. But in addition, don't add me to party, please. Making a video. In addition, I'll play with them later. In addition, it reduces the health, like the hero's health, by 3% of current health per second. So the more health they have, like, so if they're at full HP, it's actually gonna reduce their health by a lot, but it's not gonna do it. So it's not based on their. So the difference is it's not total HP, it's current HP. So when they're higher HP, it's gonna do more damage. When it's lower HP, it's gonna do less damage. I think that's the easiest way to explain it, right? And it also reduces HP regeneration and healing, which is a pretty big deal. How long does it last? 8 seconds. There you go. So last 8 seconds, it deals damage per second, and it reduces all regeneration, whether that's just from passive regen items like, you know, pipe, helm the dom, but it also reduces healing. So let's say like you have a dazzle or an oracle, you're trying to heal them, you don't heal as much, and it's 70%. That is significant. Let's say you were healing someone for 100 health, it only heals 30 now. So that is huge. So Chen, like with 1,000 heal, now it's suddenly only 300 heal. So this is gonna be a big counter to like heroes that just like want a super regen. So things like, and it also cancels like certain regen as well, you know, with IO. Let's say someone uses on an IO, it's actually, this item's super good against IO, and it's super cheap as well. So I think IO is kind of busted right now, but he's not uncounterable, because there's a lot of ways to play around him with this new item and heroes like AA and things like that, or heavy nukes. But that's getting a little bit off topic here. Maybe not though, because I think that this item is not only really good on IO, but it's really good against IO. So there's something to talk about it there. And again, if you're wondering, I am like an IO spammer, so that's why I'm playing the hero right now. And so happens the first item is an item that you're probably just gonna be building in every single game on IO, pretty much. Yeah, so continuing, when used on allies, it increases health by 1% of current health per second, which is less than the offensive use of it. You know, a lot less actually. And increased HP regeneration and healing by 20%, and provides 35 health regeneration per second. So it gives more flat regeneration compared to the flat damage, but it doesn't give as much percentage healing. And again, the percentage healing is actually not that good, because if you think about it, if you're super low HP, it's based on current health per second, right? So if you're really low HP, it's not going to heal you back to full, but it's actually going to always tip. Like, let's say you're above half HP, it's going to tip you up more. So because it's based on current health per second, it's not based on total. I think it would be broken if it was based on total, because then it would just super heal heroes like, you know, CK and stuff like that. They're on low HP and they don't have a heart yet. You just give them a spirit vessel and they get like a mini heart from one charge. But no, it's based on their current HP. So if they're really low HP, it's not gonna give that much bonus heal. It's just not. But if they're like 75% or 50% HP, it's gonna heal a decent amount. Not as much as it reduces their health, so, but it will tip them off for the most part. And I'm pretty sure that the increased regeneration and healing, obviously by 20%, is going to be affected, or it's going to affect the regen that it gives as well. And we'll test that out. So again, it lasts 8 seconds, so it's a healing over a period of 8 seconds. So, and the damage as well, so 20 times 8 and 35 times 8. And it gain charges every time a hero dies, and it's the same thing as Earn, only the closest spirit vessel to the dying hero will gain a charge. So that's pretty much it for the item description. It gives a little bit of tankiness, gives you some extra move speed, a little bit of mana regen, and some stats and some armor, but not too much, right? And it's not that cheap because it requires a vitality booster, so it's still relatively expensive, but definitely in the mid game you can expect to be able to buy this. It's maybe not viable every single game. You won't want to upgrade your Earn every single game because you want to buy other items, but in games where there's heroes that really rely on regen, it's definitely a really valuable pickup. It's more valuable for the offensive side of it, I would say, than the healing side, because you think of the healing and you see these percentage numbers and you're like, oh wow, I'm gonna get so much healing. But if you just look at how the math works out, it's actually not that good, because if you're on low HP, it heals you for crap. But if you're on high HP, it's really good. So if, let's say for example, you're an IO and you're just overcharging. So you're at max HP and you're overcharging. And you're tethered to a team or whatever. And then you use your Spirit Vessel, really good when you're at this point. But then as soon as you start falling too low, it will stop healing you as much, which is not great, right? Because you want to be able to regen up back fast. So I think it's actually really good like later on the game in IO. Like you'll still keep your urn for a long time, but like later on, like late game, if you're looking to push or something like that, you can just help sustain yourself with Spirit Vessel, and just one charge will just sustain you at full HP for a really long time. So I think that's when it's viable in IO. When I first read the numbers and all that, I'm like, oh, this item is so good. But now looking back at things, because it's based on current HP and not total HP, it's just gonna be it's again, it's more useful offensive than defensive. So even if it's viable on IO, it's pretty good on IO. I think it's actually a bigger counter him than anything. And we can see it in action here. We're gonna summon some enemies for me to kill. Just level up the axe. Let's kill some axes here real quick. Okay, so here I got some Spirit Vessel charges. I can summon a teammate. Let's create Sven. So I got my buddy Sven here, and let's say, alright, he's pushing, tower, or attacking, killing someone. So I can tether him, Spirit Vessel myself, and it'll do a lot of healing here. Because I'm at almost full HP, right? Crap ton of healing. It'll sustain me at full for pretty much the full duration of the charge. If you compare that to a regular urn, it's nowhere near. But let's say I'm like super low. Let's just get an armlet or whatever. Help increase this. So let's say I'm super low, you know, I went armlet IO to meme with the new talents. I want to heal myself. Not so much. Not that good. It's actually pretty mediocre. Right? Because again, it is based on current HP. So at this point, like, I'm almost at 0, and let's just see how much one charge does, right? Alright, not bad. Giving decent amount of regen, but it's not anything crazy. The crazy regen comes when you are at almost full. So if you're at full HP and you're pushing, you will just sustain someone, or like you're Roshaning or something like that. It's really good in those scenarios. That's why I think this item, it's viable on like healing heroes like IO, things like that. Maybe Oracle. I think it's also could be insane on Oracle, because let's say you just ult someone early on Oracle and you heal them with this. And the thing is, with Oracle, I'm like 99% sure that urn doesn't get cancelled when you use it on someone that's false promised. So you can actually just ult someone early on Oracle, and they can suicide, take 10 million bajillion damage, but because you Spirit Vessel them at the start of it, I might actually test that. Let me see that. Summon an Oracle. Great hero Oracle. And this level bots here to 25. Okay, so I have False Promise and got a Sven here. So what happens when I just, you know, Sven goes in here, let's go ham, and you just, my micros capper here. So I can't hotkey this. What happens if he just goes in and then I earn him? He just runs into their fountain. Alright, it wasn't that much, but he would have died there for sure. See, she actually lived the false promise duration. He would have died there for sure if it wasn't for this charge, and it doesn't get cancelled. At least I believe it. I'm gonna check that again. And sorry for my mic right here. I don't have these heroes hotkeys, and I'm misclicking, unfortunately. So let's try that again. We false promise. Earn him. Damn. Actually, yeah. So the earn doesn't get canceled no matter what. So enemies are attacking him, heals up. Okay. So it does work like that. So again, on heroes like Oracle, it could be really good because again, it increases the HP or regeneration as well, or healing and regeneration, or is it just healing? I'm assuming both. Yeah, regeneration and healing by 20%. So
Of course.
it's gonna be real good in those scenarios, but I don't think you need to rush it, I would say, because again, it's not going to heal someone from 0 to like full HP. That's how I thought it would work, but no, it's better when they're at almost full HP and you're just trying to sustain them, which isn't actually that useful, right? But again, let's look at the offensive side of things. So, alright, this axe is full HP, right? I'm going to cast it on him. I mean, that did a fair bit of damage, right? Now compare it to this axe with lower HP. Why does it feel like the HP percentage damage is not working? So I feel like it did almost the same. Again, this is the test client, so things might still be bugged out. Alright, let's count his HP here real quick. Hold on. So we have almost a full HP axe. We can see how much damage it actually does. So I see the tick for 15, and the 15 is the 20 damage per second. It's magical, so it does get reduced. And all vision. So that did about roughly 200-ish damage. A little bit more than 200 damage on this low HP axe. Let's check it out. It was about 600 here. Yeah, why did I feel like that did almost the same? So about 900 damage, 900 HP. Is this working properly? I don't know. I feel like it's not, but I can't be sure. How do I be sure? Because they have base regen as well, but isn't it supposed to reduce his regen by 70%? It doesn't seem like it's reducing his regen by 70%. Oh, it is. Oh, you see. Yeah, okay, so the reduction is working, but what about the damage? Is 3% is not that... Oh, okay. So, I mean, because it's doing damage, the 3%, the number is actually misleading, because again, it's current HP, so the more damage he's taking, it's gonna start ramping down real fast. So, for example, someone's at full HP, so it'll do like whole bunch of damage on like the initial, like when they're at max HP, and then it'll just start ramping down real fast because the percentage is just gonna get lower and lower as their HP falls, right? So the 3% is just gonna matter less and less, and that's why it felt like it was almost the same. Alright, so this percentage thing is actually, I mean, it's just there as a little bit of extra bonus, but the way it turns out is you look at it and you're like, oh wow, that's really good, but like it's not really that much. Like, let's say you like use it on like a really tanky hero like Spectre or something like that. So at the initial, like, that's gonna be great and actually gonna do a significant amount of damage. So in those scenarios, it's gonna be really good. So this item is actually a lot, I wouldn't say worse than I expected, but I thought it would be more powerful. But I think it's still, the way it is right now is situational, and it's nice in certain games, but I don't think it is a must buy or a must build or anything like that. Which is what I thought while I was reading the patch notes. So that's why it's cool to test things out in the client and just check it out. But yeah, things got a little bit weird there towards the end because the math wasn't working in my head there. But if you guys understand that, so again, the big thing about the item is its current HP, so it's not like it's not as effective as you think it is, right? So like if I use it on this full HP axe, it's gonna do real good damage in the beginning. Percentage, you see his health is ticking down, but then the less HP he gets, it just becomes less effective. So it does about like 400 damage, which is significant. That's from one urn charge, right? That's like a big nuke. That's a good extra nuke. But again, it's more effective on heroes at full HP. So you want to ideally just use it right at the start, so you just get less regen and less HP. It's less effective trying to finish off heroes, even though you can still use it to do so, because it also reduces their regen or whatever regen they have, right? So they won't heal as much. But that's pretty much all I can say for this first item here. Again, it's not bad. Build up is pretty cool, but it is not super crazy amazing or anything like that. It's very situational. Of course, it's really good against Io because he's all regen based, and yeah. But again, it's not even that great against Io. The biggest thing you're gonna buy it for is the regen reduction. But in terms of like trying to kill him with it, because he's also reducing his HP by a percentage, right? So he's never gonna be on like full for the most part. So if you use it on the IO, let's say he's at this point, the damage is not gonna be that significant, especially if he has like magic resist items, like a pipe or something. But you're definitely gonna reduce his regen significantly. I think the more important thing is you can use it on the target that IO is healing, and then sure, Io is still going to be healing him, but it's going to be 70% less. And I think that's where it's more powerful. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Spirit Vessel. And let's just move on to the next item here. And again, the timestamps will be in the description if you want to check it out or skip through or anything like that. I'll make sure I have those up sometime after I upload the video. But next item will be Nullifier, and we have only 5 new items, right? So I don't skip anything by accident. Pretty sure that looks right here. We got Spirit Vessel, we got Nullifier, Aeon Disk, Meteor Hammer, and we got Kaya. Kaya. Alright, so let's just move on to the next item here. It will be Nullifier. It gives 65 damage, 5 armor, and 5 HP regeneration. Oh, I should start with the recipe first. So, Nullifier is built with Sacred Relic and Helm of Iron War. So, there's 2 items. Pretty easy build up. But, of course, Sacred Relic is really expensive. So, say this is still a more late game item. And its effect is pretty weird because to this point we never had an item that did this, and not even a lot of heroes did this. But it dispels the target and meets them for 5 seconds. So basically they cannot hold on, let me try to buy some items on my axe here. So for example, with items like Force Staff, Ghost Scepter, and you're trying to kill, let's say a support, and they bought these defensive items, and I don't know, you're a Drow Ranger, right? You can use this item, and my alarm is going off in the back. Sorry about that, guys. Someone's calling me. Let me handle this. Alright, I'm back. So as you see what it did there, let me show you again. He is muted, and every time he is attacked, it also slows. Alright, Axe is dead. So you read the active there. The active is called Nullify. It has 100 mana cost and a 14-second cooldown. Relatively low cooldown actually. Mana cost, it's about average as well. It's not that low, so you're still gonna need some mana pool to use it. But it dispels a target again, as I said, and mutes them. So that's just from casting on them. But also, in addition, if you attack the target, every time the target is attacked, it will also be slowed for 100%. So 100% is just that you don't move; you're just stuck there. It's like tether slow from Io. You cannot move. But it's pretty short duration, right? 0.4. And again, is it a mechanic? This is a mechanic that people might have not realized, but all strength heroes get base status resistance, which is like stun resistance. So it's gonna be less effective against, like, you know, Axe, for example. If he gets a lot of strength, this 0.4 seconds will be even less because he just has natural status resistance from his strength. And of course, if you buy Aeon Disk, the next item that we're gonna cover, that also gives status resistance. And it also decreased the full duration as well, so it's going to be less than 5 seconds against strength heroes or heroes that have status resistance. And other heroes come to mind as like heroes like Tiny, whose ultimate gives status resistance. So I think this is a really expensive item that can be countered by just certain heroes naturally. Like, you use this on a Bristleback and he don't care, right? He just don't care because he's high strength. If he builds Aeon Disk, he definitely doesn't care. But I think, of course, this item is best for killing supports that, again, are going to have these items. Where's my 4-staff axe here? They're going to have items like 4-staff or a Ghost Scepter. So when you cast this on them, what the heck? Am I hitting my hotkey? They basically can't use their force. I can't silence. I can't do it, and they can't save themselves. They can't. Or other items, of course, are like Yules or anything like that. Nothing. As well as, like, think about it. It is a projectile, but if you get it onto a hero, I bought it on the wrong hero. Io, stop! Don't kill my buddy Axe. Use it on Axe here. You won't be able to BKB, but of course, oops. Let's run my micro here. I need to hotkey my Axe. I mean, you should be able to BKB before it reaches you. I'm just slow. My fingers are slow. There you go. There's a cast range, it's kind of low, which it's not that great either. It's like relatively low cast range. Just compare that to, I don't know, something like a Rod of Atos, right? That's Rod of Atos. This is Nullifier. It's pretty low. What about like Orchid? Yeah, that's even big. And Hex, that's even bigger. So it's relatively low cast range, and I think if anything, this is not going to be that great on melee heroes. It's more so used on ranged heroes. The fact that this cast range is that low, it's not so good. Again, I think this is like probably the worst item of all the new items. It's super situational. Again, it's really only good for like killing supports. I don't know when this would ever be good to like use offensively on like enemy core, other than that situation where they have like a BKB or some item that's really important. You can just stop them from using it. But yeah, there's not many things in the game that have this mute effect. The only things that come to mind right now are Doom and Disruptor Agnum's ultimate. So it's interesting that they add this mechanic in the form of an item to the game so everyone can have it. But at the same time, it seems really expensive costs a sacred relic as well, so it's not an easy build up. You're gonna have to save that gold. So I mean, you got a sacred relic, and I mean, I don't know at what point you just build this. Like, why would you have a casual iron will as well? So like, the only times I ever see actually building it is literally in the late game, and you're like, I mean, I have enough money for Nullifier, and I'm gonna buy it. Otherwise, I don't know when this item would be built. It doesn't seem very good. Only scenarios allow you to kill supports, but there's so many other items that allow you to do that. I think maybe on heroes like Clinks, this could be potentially really good because these stats. Let's go back to that. The stats and what it gives are so much better than these other items, like lockdown items for ranged heroes, such as Scythe and like Bloodthorn. But I actually think Bloodthorn is straight up better. But of course, Bloodthorn can be countered by so many items, right? So let's say you have a Bloodthorn and a Nullifier, you can actually just lock someone down. You have a Bloodthorn and Nullifier, you just lock someone down. They can't do anything. Because before, you get a Bloodthorn, and they could like Yules it off, they could BKB it off, and Lotus Orb and all this stuff. And now, you just Bloodthorn Nullifier, and nothing. But the problem is, it's a projectile, I showed there before. So, I mean, if they see it coming, and they're fast on their fingers, they're just going to Yules before, or BKB before it reaches them. So again, it's not very good there either. So again, like Hex is instant, and Orchid is instant. So I don't know why you'd want a projectile disable that can also like can be dodged. Like let's say like a support sees it coming, right? It's not going to mute them immediately, so they can force away or go Scepter while the projectile is coming towards them. That won't work though because it will dispel them, but the Force will work, of course. The Yules won't work either because they'll also dispel them. But I don't know, I feel like this item is way too expensive, and for what it gives is just not that useful. Like, I feel like if it was the same cost, the build-up was slightly better, it would be more viable. The build-up is just awful. Like, you're never just gonna have a sacred relic, and it's not very often. You're just gonna be sitting on 4,700 gold. So I think, yeah, this item is definitely the weakest item of the new items, and it's pretty much all I have to say for what's the description. A dangerous weapon pilfered from an inverse dimension. I actually thought this was some type of like troll mass null talisman item, but apparently you build it with sacred relic and Helm of the Dawn. So again, I don't see the usage for this item yet. I say maybe on heroes like Clinks it could be kind of cool because the damage is really nice, right? And on heroes like Clinks, he doesn't care about the damage. Could be really nice on melee heroes, like because I did say ranged heroes, but now looking back at it, because the projectile, like, it travels relatively fast. The heck, my hotkeys are messed up. Like, it travels relatively fast. So if you blink right on top of someone and then cast it, it's gonna be pretty hard for them to react. But like, if you're casting it for max range, they're definitely gonna be able to blink away, BKB, or do whatever, right? But let's say you're like an Ursa, you can buy this item, and it would be a pseudo abyssal-ish kind of item for you, with less like RNG, right? You don't have to hope to permabash someone. You just go in, nullify, and you're sure that they're not gonna Force Staff or Ghost Scepter or anything like that. But again, it's still only used for killing supports, and that you're not even guaranteed because supports can buy our next item that I'm going to cover and completely counters this. So again, we'll see how the item actually plays out. I'll have to see it played more in game to see, but that's all I really have to say about it. I'll just drop all these other items so we're not confused here. So the second item, Nullifier. And go to the next item here, Aeon Disk. Let's look at the build up. It's going to use an energy booster, a vitality booster, and a recipe. And the recipe is quite expensive. So this is 2 new items with vitality booster. We got Spirit Vessel, and now the Aeon Disk is also using Vitality Booster. And Vitality Booster is an item that you might actually consider carrying on some supports casually now. Because Aeon Disk is a great item on supports. It's a great item on like strength heroes, some initiators maybe, because let's say for example Beastmaster, you might lose a game because you get jumped on and you just die. Aeon Disk is going to solve that problem. So I showed you the build up. What does it do? It gives you just 250 health, 250 mana, decent stats, but that's not the reason you buy this item. The passive of it is called Combo Breaker. When you take damage and your health falls below 80%, a strong dispel is applied and you gain 2.5 second debuff that causes all damage you deal and are dealt to be reduced to 0. It only triggers on player based damage, and the passive, as another passive, is status resistance, which reduces all status effects duration by 25. So that's stuns, slows, and whatever, everything pretty much. Like even things like Legion Duel and stuff like that, I've tested it out and it also gets reduced. But as we know, like the only things that don't get affected by status resistance are just like huge like AoE things like that are constant, like Black Hole and Chronosphere, because they're casting it on the ground, right? They're not casting it specifically on you. But anything that's casted like specifically on you, it's just gonna get reduced. So the use of this item is, let's say it's actually buyable on IO, by the way, is you just pretty much want to stop. I mean, the passive says it all. It's Combo Breaker. You want to just stop their initiation. Let's say they blink Ravage, the damage done, you just get dispelled, you're immune as well, and you can walk out. You can force away, you can do whatever, because you're damage immune, right? You get out of the fight. I mean, of course they can try to like re-stun you and try to chain stun you and whatever, but in addition it also gives you the status resistance, so it helps a little bit there as well. So what this item will allow you to do is it's kind of like a Kraken shell that you can buy on Tide, where if you just get jumped on or whatever, it makes sure that you can get your stuff off, right? Like if you're, let's say, a disruptor and you get jumped, it makes sure that you're just gonna static storm and actually get your stuff off. You're not gonna get bursted, because that's how Dota was kind of played, where whoever got the first jump would just win the fight, because like there was no counter, right? Like there was no counter to getting blinked in or Shadow Blade Chronosphere. Like you're just gonna die. Again, this doesn't help against Chronosphere, but it'll keep you alive longer and maybe you'll live. But it'll actually help against other things like Ravage, right? The reason why it doesn't help against Chronosphere is because you're still gonna be locked in the Chrono, because it's constant, it stays there. But for like stuns or anything like that, like, you know, Sand King initiation, Beastmaster Roar, and everything like that, you know, like maybe an Ursa blinking in and trying to kill you, Clinks, high damage heroes, anything like that, you want the Aeon Disk so you don't get bursted and you survive. You can get away, cast your spells, and continue the fight. What this item's not good against is just like cancer, like damage over time abilities that are just gonna slowly take you down. No big burst or anything like that. You don't want to buy an Aeon Disk because it's gonna get popped randomly, because you get Venomancer Gale or like Naga Radiance or whatever, and then it has a relatively long cooldown as well on 100 seconds, and it's just not gonna be good. So situational item could be very good. It allows you to counter things that previously were never counterable in Dota, like instant initiations. You get an Aeon Disk and it just allows you to fight. It can change the game entirely. Like as I said before, if you have it on your disruptor, the disruptor gets jumped, normally you just straight up win that fight. There's no static storm. You're gonna go in, you don't have to worry about that. You killed him, he's done for. But now with this item, he has it. You try to go on him, he'll just drop static storm, you know, kinetic field, change the fight entirely. So same thing with like heroes like Aya, right? Normally you go on Aya, you kill him, right? You're sure he's dead. No, there's no healing. No one's getting relocated out or anything like that. You go on Io now, he has an Aeon Disk, he survives, the relocate comes out or whatever, and the fight changes. You know, he gets his items off. If for some reason, if Io has a BKB, you're gonna get your BKB off. So that's the usage of the item. I think is very good in those scenarios, but it's still super situational. It's not viable every game, unless there's certain heroes that just really benefit from the status resistance. I think there might be some cases for heroes like that, like Bristleback and Axe and stuff. The heroes that are just in the middle of the fight and would benefit greatly if they just had less status effects on them. And in addition, like, there are both strengths here, of course, and strength heroes also have natural status resistance. So you see Axe here has 11% status resistance just from his base strength. So I think it's potentially core on those heroes, but I still think it's going to be core but situational. So in certain games where enemies have like a lot of disables and things like that, you go with this item and you can just ignore a lot of it. But it's pretty much it for Aeon Disk. Oh yeah, I did talk about the build up, but this item build up is a lot better than the previous item here, Nullifier, because you can buy it out of mana boots. So I think this is definitely a great support item, because it's not uncommon that you have mana boots on support, right? And you can disassemble it, get the energy booster out. Let me just show you the build up again here. You can disassemble it, get the energy booster out. Again, I covered before, you might have a casual vitality booster just to be a little bit tankier, and it also can build in two items now that benefit you, the Spirit Vessel and the Aeon Disk. So you might just have a casual vitality booster, you have mana boots, and now you can decide between both. Spirit Vessel, Aeon Disk. Aeon Disk, of course, a bit harder to build into because the recipe is actually pretty expensive, but if you do manage to get all this gold up, it's like saving for a Blink Dagger. This could be core. Like, let's say you are that hero in the mid to late game, and if you get initiated on, the fight's just over, but you save up for the Aeon Disk, and you don't have to be that worried about getting initiated on anymore. It can completely change the way you can play. Before, you have to be super conservative on how you move around the map, things like that, but you get Aeon Disk, and you don't care anymore. You're going to be guaranteed to get your stuns off, your ultimate off, whatever. So that's it for that item, and let's just move on to the next one. I think Aeon Disk is a pretty good item. Out of these three items right now, I think it's the best, honestly, because just looking at like how Spirit Vessel works, I think it's way too situational. It seemed really good, but Aeon Disk, in terms of like the situations where it's good, it's going to be better than Spirit Vessel in the situations where Spirit Vessel is good. But both items are still not viable like every single time. And I think this is nice. Like, it allows you to vary your item build depending on what you're playing against and what you're doing. And of course, Nullifier is the worst of these three items in my opinion so far. Let's just deny these. Let's remove this clutter. Okay. Next to our fourth item here, we have the Meteor Hammer. Okay, so the build-up of it is a Ogre Club, a Staff of Wizardry, Ring of Regen, and a Sage's Mask. Looks funny, right? You got the red item and you got the blue item. You got the red item, you got the blue item, but builds into Meteor Hammer. The stats it gives is 12 Strength, 12 Intelligence, 4 HP Regen. It's not bad. And plus 1.5 mana regen. Now, again, the stats are not really why you build this item. It's for the active here, which is called Meteor Hammer. Costs 129 mana and 40 cooldown. It is channeled, and after a successful channel, so it can get cancelled, it summons a meteor that strikes 300 AoE and stuns enemies for 1.75 seconds. Again, that's kind of low. I feel like for a 3-second channel, you should get more of a stun than that. But it deals damage over time to enemy units afterwards and buildings as well for 6 seconds. Building DPS is 60, and the hero DPS or non-building DPS or like creeps or whatever is 115. Again, it takes 3 seconds to channel, and it also takes half a second to land, so it doesn't even land immediately. It's not fast. It takes a whole half a second to land. This item is super hard to hit. You're pretty much never gonna hit it on a hero unless they're, I mean, I don't know what even would stun them that long, because like, again, with the status resistance, like most initiators or tanky heroes like Sand King and Shaker Axe, they're gonna have basic status resistance, so it's pretty hard to stun them for long periods of time, especially if they got a Aeon Disk. But I don't know when you're gonna be able to cast this on heroes. I mean, if you look at the damage output, it's somewhat significant, right? But like, how much damage is that? Oh, 700 damage, is that right? About that. A little bit less after reduction. 600 something damage, let's say. If you get like the full duration on them, but I think they can walk out of it. I've never actually used this item before, so let's actually use it and see what it does here on this axe. So I'm gonna cast it here. Full 3-second channel. And can he walk out of it? No. Alright, it looks like it just burns him down. So we can't walk out. Like, if you get hit by it, you're getting hit by it. So let's see this. Stuns him. And he's still gonna be burned down. And you see, it's actually pretty significant damage, by the way. Like, it's no joke. Like 600 damage is a lot. So if you can somehow manage to hit it, it's actually a ton of damage. Because compare that to Dagon, right? This costs 2,625 gold. Compare that to a Dagon 1, which costs actually more. That only does 400 damage. But of course, that's instant. This does about 600 something, almost 700 damage. It is damage over time. Again, it's not instant, and it's also not cast instantly. You have to channel for 3 seconds. It takes 1.5 seconds, or a half a second to land, not 1.5. It takes half a second to land as well. But if you do hit it, it just hits. So it's not like Invoker Meteor where it rolls or anything like that. You can walk out of it. It just hits. So you see here, 3 axes, 4 axes. It just hits, and the burn happens throughout. It's potentially really good to farm, but you're actually putting yourself at risk. Again, it should like clear out a 4 creep wave up until a certain point, and we're about an hour in, so should clear it for a while. But again, it's kind of I don't know when you would actually be able to use this effectively. It feels like it potentially be strong, but it's also super gimmicky. So unless there's some weird abuse with it, I'll see how it works out. We'll have to actually restart the lobby here so that we can test it on the tower, because the tower is already dead. Let's just go back. And get our Meteor Hammer here. What is it? And test out how it works on the tower here. Again, of course, towers are going to be a lot easier to hit, and you can't cast it at no tower range. You cast it at the very edge. Alright, so you can cast it at the very edge and still be at a tower range when you cast it. So you can kind of troll it. And the cooldown is relatively long as well. It's 40 seconds. But you see there, you can actually stun the tower, and it does a significant amount of damage to the tower. So maybe this could be a potential like sieging item. But again, it's a really long cooldown, so it's not like you're going to sit there for a full 40 seconds and then look to slowly Meteor Hammer down the tower. If anything, it just supplements this, because it only does 60 damage per second on towers. So I can't really comment on this item. I think it could potentially be good, but at the same time, I just feel like it's really bad. We'll have to see. It's just too strange of an item, too gimmicky to have any clear, theory crafting behind it. You just have to use it and see how it actually plays out with like certain stuns or heroes or things like that. So we'll try it, buy it on different heroes. I actually don't know. I don't know what the purpose of this item is. Like, you can use it to farm, but it's 40 seconds, right? Well, like, you can just be Underlord. If you just want to clear out creep waves in like a frick or in the Meteor Storm, just play Underlord. Why buy this item? Costs 2,000 gold. Like, the build-up isn't that bad. It's actually a pretty decent build-up. But for the stats it gives you and what it actually does, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think it might synergize with the next item, Kaya, because that gives you extra spell amp. Or just maybe natural spell amp heroes. Maybe it's not bad in things like Black Hole or Chronosphere. But like, it might be one thing I'm thinking here, it might be buildable on heroes that have like no damage, and for some reason you just lack damage, but you have lockdown. So like you're missing a nuke for some reason. So this allows you to just buy an extra AoE nuke. But like, if you have an AoE nuke, there's no reason to buy this because it's just overkill. Your nuke is just gonna be better. It's easier. It's gonna most likely be easier to hit. Like, let's say you're a lich, you're just gonna have Chain Frost. Like, why do you need to Meteor Hammer into a Chronosphere or Black Hole when you can just Chain Frost? It's instant cast. You let it go and you're done. This you have to channel for 3 seconds. Someone can cancel it, and you just waste the 40-second cooldown. So, I mean, if you guys have any idea about this, leave a comment down below, because I don't know. This item just baffles me. Like, Ice Frog is definitely on something when he's making this patch, because this item doesn't make sense to me at all. So I think this item actually has to be the worst item right now. Nullifier, at least I see a use in it. Meteor Hammer, I don't see a use at all. It can slowly kill towers, but slowly. Like, maybe you have like an Octarine and a cooldown reduction talent, this item might be viable, but it beats me. I mean, you're gonna have to test this out. So I can't say much more on Nullifier, but you saw what it did there, and you can judge for yourself. But last but not least, we're down to our last item, Kaya, and this item I think is the best item for sure. This item, hands down, the best new item. First of all, it is the cheapest new item, coming at only 1950 gold, 1,950 gold. The build-up is just a Staff of Wizardry, a Robe of the Magi, and a recipe. So it's basically Yasha for int heroes. It gives int, it gives spell amp, and it gives mana loss, or mana cost, and mana loss reduction. You see what it did there? You got the Sanj, you got the Yasha, and we got the Kaya. But right now it doesn't build into anything. But just for what it gives, it's better than these others. Like the Maim? Is the Maim that cool? Not really. It's nice. You got a Maim. Yasha, move speed. Move speed's nice. Helps you farm faster, helps you be a little bit more mobile. But this is spell amp. So build this on a hero like OD, who I think previously had a 6% or something like that spell amp talent at level 25, and this could be his first item. He can go for a Kaya, and it's just OD with reduced mana cost, which actually doesn't affect him too much, but reduced mana loss, so mana burn's gonna slightly be less effective against him. But most importantly, spell amp gives him decent int as well. That's 16 int and 10% spell amp. He's gonna be hitting hard, ridiculously hard, for how cheap this item is. So I mean, maybe they just wanted people to buy it. You gotta test it out. We gotta test out our new Yasha for int heroes, so people buy it. They can nerf the numbers later, but this is gonna be like 7.0 Aether Lens when that first came out. Did that come out in 7.0? Why is people calling me?
The enemy's middle tower has fallen.
Alright. So, back to the Kaya. I mean, just looking at the numbers alone, 10% is a lot for how cheap it is. The build-up is super easy, of course. It's just Staff of Wizardry. It's just a Robe of the Magi. I think this item is hands down the best item of the new patch, and I mean, we're gonna have to see how it actually plays out, and if it does fit into these in-heroes item builds, like OD and stuff like that. But I definitely think it is pretty good just by looking at what it does. It's also really easy to be purchased on supports that do nuke damage, and that 10% spell amp will go a long way. Again, the build up is pretty easy and it's relatively cheap. But again, there's no active, there's nothing fancy about it. I mean, I can show you, I guess, Outworld. What is OD? Is he called Obsidian? Alright, we're just gonna do Zeus here, it's easier. What the heck is this? Alright, I give up. I'm just gonna go remake the lobby here. So we got OD.
I could hear your caterwauling from clear out on the rim.
And let's build the Kaya.
Prepare for battle.
Level up. We don't want to be too high level, so we see here, right?
Yes.
So it gets less mana cost, so it's kind of like a bit of an arcane room.
Path of destruction.
But let's check out here. Just make an enemy. Or
In flight.
an enemy. So it's with Kaya, and let's do without Kaya.
The Harbinger comes.
Alright, well this is not... I'm stealing more int, so I'm doing more damage, but
Yes.
it's not a very good test. But anyway, like, just imagine, like, you know, of course you're gonna get insta-steal. If you're gonna scale like that, it increases your spell amp more. I mean, if you just think about it, like, how much spell amp do you actually just get from straight ints? Before, the highest spell amp item was Aether Lens. That was the only thing you can buy, and now you have the 10% spell amp. Maybe this has an upgrade. I don't know. Maybe you can build it into some type of Kaya, you know, int, like some weird int buff item. I don't know what it would be, but I mean, this item definitely gonna have an upgrade in the future. We might see the Triforce item because we have an int staff now, so we might, you know, have San, Joshua, Kaya, a triple item. That's probably something that's gonna come, but for now, just what this item does, the spell amp, it's gonna be super value on int heroes. I do think it's gonna be the most purchased item, but not only because it's the cheapest, but it's just the best for what it does. When it's good, of course, you don't buy it on everybody, but on heroes that it's good on, int heroes, you're just gonna be great. Like Zeus, OD, they're gonna love this item. There's the new support as well, Dark Willow. Kaya is great. Again, this is kind of a long analysis video. I didn't expect it to go this long, so I'm just gonna end it here. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching. That was the 5 new items from the Dueling Fates update 7.07. Kind of went a little bit more in depth than I thought I would, but again, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like down below. Subscribe if you want to see more content. Again, I'm planning on making a video for each new item and what heroes they can be built on when the patch actually comes out and people will have like play tested it a little bit more. But for now, these are just my first impressions on these new items. When I thought about it, I showed off pretty much everything that I could about the items. Didn't go delve into theory crafting too much, but I kind of did there, so you got a little bit of that. But I'll see you all in the next video. And again, make sure you like and subscribe if you want to see more content. I'm going to be making a lot of content as this patch is quite new and exciting, and I always wanted to make some videos, and now I just have a reason to. So I'll see you all later. Might be making another video today, might be making one tomorrow, but peace out everyone, and see you all next time.